All right, so hello and welcome. Before we get started, there's a couple things that I want to make clear, a couple things I want to go over that will really help you get the most out of this presentation and really make it as fun and enjoyable and as easy and as rewarding as possible. Just a few simple and easy things that we need to understand. First is that what is my role in this as the speaker, as the person that is doing this, and why am I doing it? Am I doing it because I think I'm some enlightened being that's better than you and better than all these people? I know more and I'm somehow on this other level. The answer is no. The answer is simple because I'm doing this because I like it, because it's fun for me and it's enjoyable and it's just flat out fun. I like to do it. It's enjoyable for me. That's why I do it. I like to talk about ideas. I like to talk about things. I like to film videos and do these sorts of things. So really, it's really simple for my motivations for doing this. So that's the first thing to understand. And from there, we need to accept that really the things we're going to talk about, the things that we're going to go over are not, fixed rules and rigid dogmas and religions that you have to follow. These are more so things that are about flexibility and fluidity and harmony, and things that are more about comfort and ease and stress, tension, and anxiety. Because for me, I know that I learn best when, if I'm watching something or I'm reading something or I'm listening to someone talk, I kind of just sit back and relax and just sort of open my mind and just really not try to do anything or not try to make anything happen or really try to grasp onto it in really a hard way. Because it's kind of like if someone says to you, hey, pay attention. What do people do? They tense up, they squeeze, and that really just gets in the way of the process. So really what I like to do is just kind of relax, be easy, be light, and be fun about it. And then usually when I do that, I notice and I find myself just learning at a really easy and rapid rate. Things just sort of go into my mind, and then maybe I'm out in my daily routine or I'm doing this or I'm doing that, and all of a sudden I start to notice that I see these ideas, I see these concepts all around me. And it becomes really clear to me, like, wow, whenever I just chill out and relax, I learn a lot more easily. When I'm able to just sort of set aside all of the past stuff that's going on and all of the existing fixed beliefs and ideas that I have, things just seem to work better. And that's my experience and how I usually approach learning things. And for me, it works really well. It's able to produce results that are really pretty easy, pretty quick, and most importantly, pretty fun, pretty enjoyable. Because if it's not fun, if it's not enjoyable, what are we really doing here? What's it really all about? So in this whole presentation, it's just going to be really lighthearted, really low-key, really laid back, and pretty much just like you're sitting here with me and we're talking, we're going over different ideas. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, pretty direct. This is important because sometimes when we find ourselves in the present moment and we're faced with a simple choice or a simple decision, we don't always know the real implications of that decision. Meaning sometimes we just make a simple decision to open our minds to something or to see something differently, and all of a sudden it just opens vast new vistas of possibilities, potentialities, and experiences to us. Things that we really didn't see before, things that we really weren't aware of before. So sometimes we just don't really see the simple power of a simple choice. And then we realize and come back to, we could really only learn, and apply really one thing at a time. So rather than having the mindset of, I'm going to take in everything and do everything and make everything happen right now, we just again come back to relaxing, being in the present moment, being light and easy about it, and trusting the mind and trusting the body to do what it needs to do. Because it's intelligent. We are intelligent beings. We are intelligent creatures. We are all natural learners. We can all learn at easy, rapid rates and absorb information faster than we really think that's possible. Because that's just what our brain does. That's really just what our mind does. It's just kind of like that flow state. Maybe you've experienced it before. Maybe you experience it all the time, wherein everything just kind of moves and works together. You don't really have to do anything. You don't really have to force anything. Things just sort of flow and feel right and go kind of one thing after the other, and we can just kind of sit back and relax. So with all of these things in mind, let's take a look at some other foundational concepts and principles that are going to underlie many of the things that we're going to be talking about. First is this major idea of daily diminishing and deprogramming. And why are these important? Why do we want to do them? And, isn't it kind of negative? To talk about, oh, well, this is a myth and that's a myth and people believe this, but it's not true, and think this, but it's not true. People say, well, isn't that negative? Don't we need to be positive? Well, really, when we just take away things that are false, then usually what's left over is what's true, because that's really who and what we are. Likewise, we live currently in an age of excess with material things, but more importantly with ideas, with information, because we have smartphones and email and Gmail and voicemail and text messaging and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Google and all these different things. Plus we have books and movies and magazines and people and interviews and everything. All this information is around us all the time. It's always buzzing and buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. So really, we don't need more. We don't need more information. We don't really need more. We live in an age of excess. What we need is to start to diminish, start to eliminate and deprogram the things that are clogging up our system, things that are getting in the way, things that are standing between us and the things that we want. The barriers that we're setting up for ourselves, the traps that we're setting for ourselves, the dysfunctional programming that society and culture has given us. Really, we need to just diminish that. We need to deprogram that. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Comfort, ease, relaxation, calm, better health, more clarity of thought, more consciousness, things that we all really want. So in this light, what we're doing today is not simply trying to affirm or justify or validate your existing belief system. Oftentimes people approach information like this or information in general, and they're just sort of focusing with blinders on, and all they're trying to do is validate what they already think to be true and what they already think the world is, and this and that, and X, Y, and Z. And maybe that works sometimes, and maybe it causes problems sometimes as well, because if we want different results, we're going to have to take different actions. Meaning, if you want what you've always had, keep doing what you've always done. If you want something different, do something different. It's like whenever I work with people on a personal level or a health level, and people are really hung up on, what they think is right and wrong and what they've done and what they did in the past. But they also want something different, but they're not willing to let go of this. So there's this real discord and disharmony and conflict that happens, which is why we're talking about diminishing, deprogramming, and not just simply affirming or justifying or validating what we already think we know to be true. Because we're talking about principles of cosmic harmony and cosmic equality, which are principles which will unfold throughout the rest of the course of this presentation, things that will make more sense, and really things that we kind of already know, but maybe haven't been given a vocabulary or real way of understanding it just yet. Likewise, we're going to talk a lot about, our true self and what harmony is really all about, what health is really all about, what spiritual development is really all about, and how we can do that, why it's important, what it means, where people fall off, where people get trapped, how to break out of the trap, and how to get back on the right course. Because when we start getting in harmony with our true self, we start to get more in harmony with the cosmos at large. And we talk about success, we talk about making things happen and change and transformation. What do we mean? Usually we mean getting more in harmony with our true self, getting more in harmony with the cosmos at large, and thus accessing more of the help of the invisible world, accessing and activating the helping energies that exist all around us all the time. And really breaking out of this parallel reality, which basically is this mental construct, this mental world that we all live in, and it sucks up so much of our energy. because our body has an awareness and has an intelligence and has a massive capacity, which we sort of ignore and try to override because our mind is conditioned to think A, B, and C are the way to go. We look at the vast majority of digestive problems, mental problems, sleep problems, sexual problems. Usually what it is the mind getting in the way of the body, or the mind through anxiety or fear or some sort of conditioning interrupting the natural process of the body and thus creating this parallel reality. So really we're about coming back to the real reality in harmony and equality with the things around us. And another thing that we'll pull on a lot is this idea of 80-20. Maybe you've heard of it before. It's basically this idea where 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions. Or more so, we could say that maybe we have a certain goal and maybe we do 10 things to reach that goal. Well, according to 80-20, really one or two of those things is going to create 80% or more of our results or our progress towards reaching that goal. Maybe you've heard of this. It's called the Pareto principle. Really effective and basically a natural thing that is embedded in nature. But what we're going to do is take it a little bit further. Meaning some people do the 80-20 and think, oh, it's cool. But what we're going to do is take the 80-20 of the 80-20 of the 80-20, which allows us to create exponential results. Not just better, more effective results, but exponential results. Where we do a small amount of things, but it creates massive effects, massive transformation across all areas of our life. Because we're really wanting to go to the root of the tree. We don't really want to worry about the leaves and the branches and the twigs and the stems and the fruits and these sorts of things. We want to go back down to the root. Because when we address that, everything else that comes out of that will then be better, will then be more effective, more harmonious. Because really what we mean by better, what we mean by true, we're really looking at what makes sense, what is effective, what works, and most importantly, what is harmonious. What is, in a feeling-based way of approaching it, right? What is in a feeling-based kind of consciousness, harmonious? In the same way of music, in the same way of a lot of other examples that we're going to understand and learn. So these are some of the principles that are going to underlie many of the things that we're going to talk about. We're going to be pulling and referencing and connecting a lot of things in a very simple, direct, easy, and clear way. And really, whenever I'm operating, whenever I'm talking, whenever I'm doing things, it's always based out of the 80-20. Really just cutting out the fluff, getting to the things that are essential so that it's quick and it's easy and it's enjoyable and it's fun. So with all of the stuff in mind, with what we talked about earlier about easy learning and rapid learning and just relaxing, looking at these principles, just kind of take everything at your own pace. There's no rush. No one's going to come bust down your door and see what you're doing. Really tune into what feels right for you, what is more attractive, what makes sense, what is applicable, what is actionable, and just go from there. Because your body knows, your intelligence knows, and just follow it and don't necessarily worry about it too much. So this is what we're going to be doing. So let's get started.